there, good morning, and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah. It promises to be an interesting week of trade, full of data, full of hopes for some announcements from the government side. There are proposals for bad bank and multiple things that are ruling the minds of investors. Add to that, of course, the fickle global markets, and we have our hands full. Let's get started with what should one watch out for. Now, just a quick update of the coronavirus, simply because the number of cases have crossed the threshold, and therefore I just thought we'll bring it to everybody's minds. 4 million cases. It's not a good sign. The virus keeps on increasing. In fact, while France and Italy have reported the lowest fatalities since March, and therefore the scene might be improving or showing some sense of improvement in Europe, but I don't think too many people will take that to heart, because South Korea has warned of a second wave of infections as well. Remember, they opened their nightclubs up in Seoul, and because of that, those nightclubs became hotspots of coronavirus, and then they had to shut them down again. So I think it will increasingly make people believe that even lockdowns opening up, a flattening of the curve will not necessarily mean to anything, because there could be a second wave or a third wave or more. So the commentary around the virus isn't the most positive. Key news: the Chinese exports, interestingly, grew about 3.5% in April versus expectations of a decline. So that was a very interesting data point. The other big interesting data point from an India perspective is how the borrowing target for FY21 has been revised to 12 lakh crores. That's nearly, from 7.7 or thereabouts to 12 lakh crores. That's a really sharp rise in the borrowing numbers for India, and that will certainly have an impact on the bond yields today. I dare say 20-25 basis points, never know. It could be more, it could be marginally less as well, because the RBI is against the yields rising up, but this should have an impact on the yields in the session today. So do watch out for yields, do watch out for PSU banks, I dare say. And oil jumped 5%, posted the second week of gains in the fag end of the week, last one. So that's another interesting mover for today's trade. What did the markets do? The US markets did reasonably okay for themselves. Asia started off on a mixed bag. The SGX Nifty 2 ho-hum really. Remember, the last 2 days, despite the sharp fall at the start of the week, you would have to say it was a listless market, and therefore don't quite know what will happen if the markets start off marginally higher. Do we see some bit of a correction, or can we see a bit of a pullback from the lower lows if indeed the expectations of any kind of a stimulus are out there? People, I think, will put the math together to try and figure out if the government is making sure that there is ammo in the bank, increased borrowings, exercise on fuel and petrol in order to give some bit of stimulus. So I think around those ideas is how the markets could gyrate today. Higher starts, though, I reckon would probably show some corrective moves in absence of any major announcements. Foreign inflows the last 2 days on account of HUL deal on Thursday, but even Friday's session, there was a positive number of 1,700 crores, and therefore foreign inflows resuming might just help cushion any short-term downsides, very, very short-term, by the way. And the value pockets may see buying in case of gradual reopening. And remember, and I'll get to what I mean by that, particularly in autos or some of the other pockets. So that's something you have to keep in mind. Watch out for two-wheeler stocks in particular, and I'll tell you why in just moments from now, because the stocks to watch list today is the more interesting one. What will happen to the markets is anybody's guess. So Reliance Industries remains firmly in focus. Now you would ask why. 2 or 3 reasons. One, they fixed May 14th as the record date for the rights issue, and therefore a lot of people would want to ensure that in order to be able to subscribe to the rights at that lower price, the share should be there in the account. So that is one kind of cushion of sorts to my mind. But the deal flow for Reliance Industries continues. Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund is considering a minority stake in Geo Platforms as per Bloomberg News, and Bloomberg News has also reported that General Atlantic is said to be in talks for a stake in Geo Platforms. So one after the other. We've had 3 deals already for Geo Platforms, and now there are possibly 2 more in the pipeline. So Reliance Industries is certainly getting the deal inflow piece together, and that should keep it in good stead. Shree Cement could be the other interesting more in the session today. It's not a very liquid one, but the results were above estimates, and the price hikes in key markets in North aided realizations. The key, though, to my mind for Shree Cement is that the volume decline was about 5.5%, which is much lower than the decline seen in ACC and Ambuja, which were about 12%. And those stocks too did well. I dare say Shree Cement could well turn out to be the stock of the day. Margins were aided by cost efficiencies. Morgan Stanley's gone out and hiked the target price to 20,100 from 18,000 earlier. Imagine about a 15% or 12% hike in target price in times like these. That's quite something. We've seen buy ratings come in, but target price being high in large stocks is a rarity of sorts. Sure, Reliance could have seen that, but otherwise it's been a bit of a rarity. So do watch out for Shree Cement in the session today. The reason I was saying that value stocks could see some interest, Hero MotoCorp is a prime example there, isn't it? They've reopened more than 1,500 customer touchpoints. The company sold 10,000 units of motorcycles and scooters since their reopening. The stock is trading at 11 times. 11 times for a company which has got decent ROCs, debt levels are negligible, so on and so forth. Could be an interesting stock to monitor in the session today. Sequent Scientific certainly would be interesting because the promoters are in agreement to sell the entire stake to Carlyle. The deal is done at 86 rupees per share, which is a 7% premium. Maybe the stock could be higher in the session today. Last but not the least, something that I thought was a bit weak, but mixed bag of numbers. HDFC AMC, the reported profits showed a decline because of an MTM loss on NCD, SLNCD. Save for that, profits grew about 20%. So that number was okay. But I think the equity market share dipped on account of higher exposure in the mid-cap schemes. Overall equity AUMs for all funds have gone down as well. For the year as a whole, HDFC AMC has done very well. It's a strong franchise during tough times. Maybe people gravitate to such names, but I think the disappointment is in the performance of the HDFC AMC schemes over the last few quarters, and maybe that comes in to bite the stock. Let's wait and watch. A couple of brokerages have actually hiked the target price out here, but maybe, just maybe, it could start off a bit weak today. So do watch out for this one. But all in all, specific stocks might do well. The markets, let's see if the upsized borrowing calendar kind of disturbs the party, if any, in the Indian equity markets today. Thanks so much for watching Trade Setup.